Hey guys, what's going on today? Today I'm going to be doing a wood cleaning. Just a little small test, testing out a new product that I have. It's percarbonate. So what I got here is an old wooden ramp to a building. Never been treated, never been stained. Probably 12 years old. Scratched up. I mean, it's just pretty rough shape. Has some algae on it, has some buildup along the edges. So what we're gonna do today is just get it wet it down real good. That way, even if I was just to take the tips, and wash this without any cleaner, it would still, loosen up some of the dirt. So, you see it even looks even worse now that it's wet. So first plan of attack is just to wet it, loosen it up, and then we're going to mix up some sodium percarbonate and put on it. I'm doing this at the luxury of my house, so I was able to actually get some hot water. I'm not going to be using much, so I'm not going to mix up much. So I got hot water. Going to put about a half a gallon in here. It should be about it's about right on half a gallon. Percarbonate takes 8 ounces per gallon, so I'm just going to put 4. So I got 1, 2, 3, 4. I'll take just a little bit of water just to rinse that top lid off. You can tell it probably has a little bit around the edges, just enough to do that. Stir it around pretty good. I know they normally mix it. This is normally mixed in like a bucket like this, and they stir it around. But I just poured it in here. I'm going to go ahead and just put the handle on the sprayer. Not going to lock it down just yet, and just shake it really good. I think because I used the hot water, it should seal pretty good. Shaking it up, let a little pressure out. Now, I'm gonna pump it back up. Now we should have enough of this mixed up to go over there and spray our deck. With it being oxygenated bleach, when it hits the wood, it'll foam up. Supposedly that lets you know that it's working. You can see we're getting a lot of bubbles. As you can see, all that is bubbling up where it's working. I think you can see some of the mud where I was standing, but the thing for this, for me, that's going to be really helpful is I've had some issues in the past when I've been cleaning bleach, and you can't see it now, but it'll be real thick green right up in here, and I'll put a picture I put a picture of what I'm talking about. And you know, I just always thought that it was just a deck board that was going to have to be replaced, that it couldn't be cleaned, until I started doing a little bit more research. So I probably used, you know, this little bitty section here. I probably used 1/4 of a gallon, maybe. I don't even know if I used 1/4 of a gallon on that. And so now I'm going to go get my oxalic acid. Do is let that set. I'm not going to let it dry. Let it set for about 15 minutes. I'm going to go ahead and set a timer for that, and come back, rinse it with, I think it's a 25-20 tip on a pressure washer, and then follow it with oxalic. We'll see how it looks, if there's any green left on it, if there's any other places. I want to let the chemical work. I don't want to have to use pressure to get the green off or get anything off of it. So I'm going to let this work on its own, and then if I have to hit it again, I'll hit it again and rinse it off again, and then I'll follow it up with oxalic. So we're just gonna let you sit here and watch it for 15 minutes. So I'll be back in a second. One thing to note, I may have already said it, but keep this wet. This is so dry, it started drying out after like 5 minutes. I just had to come back and mist it. Another thing is when I'm doing wood and I'm doing a deck or fence, I have this wand. It's a 4-foot wand I used to use when I had a little surface cleaner. Paid like $50-$60 for it from Amazon, and it's still been working great. So I always use this. It's hard to get the handrails. It'd be good if you're going to do a deck, just put your ball valve on so you can swap back and forth, because when you got that gun on that top rail, getting a handrail, it's a lot easier with it than it is this big wand. But just want to let you guys know that. Just a side note, you know, I've been trying, I always want to try to do the best thing that I can and get the best results, but I've heard people say that percarbonate is just for like a dirty wood, not so much anything that's covered in green, algae, mildew, stuff like that. They say it isn't the best product to use. I've seen guys using Flexzilla BC. I've seen them using hydroxide, you know, regular bleach. So anyway, we're going to see how this works, because this is an old neglected, just like an old neglected deck it's sitting out, you know, underneath all these trees that never hardly gets any sunlight. So it's a perfect piece to try it on, because I think this is going to be like the worst of the worst. So we're going to see, is it any good for algae and mildew? Is it going to come off easily? I'm not going to white tip nothing. I'll just use my 25-degree tip, rinse it with the pressure washer, and we'll see how it goes. So we got about 5 more minutes left. Alright, as I'm rinsing this, you guys can see there's a huge difference from where I've rinsed and where I haven't, but there's still the green on there. So that got rid of the top layer, and that's what my problem area always is with me doing wood. So I'm going to rinse this, and then I'm going to hit it again. All right, that's all. This is what the deck looks like. You can see the wood grain coming back. On camera, it really looks good, but you can see all this greening over here. And so I'm going to hit it again with the sodium percarbonate, see what that does. As you can see, it is turning white again. So hopefully that's going to get rid of that last bit of algae on top. Like I said, with me, with wood, that green that I showed you is what I always have trouble with. Bleach, you know, I've bleached a lot of decks and they look good, bleached fences, and they look good, but I always have issues sometimes with some of that thick green stuff. And I mean, you can put a mix, a hot mix and a hot mix and a hot mix, but it just doesn't seem to fix it. So I'm trying something different. So this is the second application of the percarbonate, and I'm going to let it set for about 15 minutes, keep it wet, and hopefully when I rinse it this time, we'll be able to get that green off. I think, and I don't know for sure, but I think with this second application, the green that I was wanting off has came off. It's along a lot of these edges, kind of like right in there, which the pressure washer may get some of that, like right in this area. But it looks like it's loosened up a lot, so when I rinse it, we'll see. All right, now we're going to go for his second rinse. All right, guys, let's come over here and look at the results. Definitely on camera it shows up, but as you can see, these problem areas that I had that were green are gone. It seems like it's like right at the edge, and maybe got a little bit left right there. We'll see if the acid will take care of that. It looks kind of green on camera, but that's just a wood grain. So I got my oxalic mixed up, and I'm going to spray it. Then I definitely got to rinse my footprints off. So smart thing to do, guys, is mix. You know, I don't have this in label because it's just percarbonate, but I got that one for oxalic. So I'm going to be spraying oxalic acid. I think I mixed 4 ounces per gallon for that. I had the hot water. I went ahead and mixed it in a bucket. It's some really old stuff, and that I've had for a long time and never used, so that'll be see how that works. But I'm going to we're going to do that live just to see if you guys can see any change. I got it mixed up, and I'm going to spray it out. Half of this and see if it's really that obvious after, you know, a few seconds. Now, for any of you guys that don't know, oxalic is a wood brightener, but it neutralizes the wood too. It brings the pH balance back up from when you wash it. And I think you can tell pretty distinct line from about there down where I sprayed it and where I didn't. So I'm going to go ahead and spray this other side. And as you can see, that lightened it up a lot. The definitive line isn't there anymore. And I'm not going to let it sit here and let you watch it dry like paint drying. I'm going to let that set for about 10 minutes, set me a timer, and then rinse it off real good with a pressure washer too. Seems like the sun came out and wanted to help me out with my after pictures. So, just to give you guys an idea of what we got here, I'm gonna take a few after shots. I think it looks really awesome. You can still see a few of the scratches. I guess that's just deep into the wood, but the wood grain looks amazing. You can see that wood grain back again. And you know what everybody always says on YouTube is, oh, it always looks good wet, so what's it going to look like dry? So when this dries here in a little bit, I'll bring you back out here and show you what it looks like then. But this was wet it down, percarbonate, rinse, percarbonate, rinse. And you know, it's my first time mixing up percarbonate, so maybe I didn't have it strong enough. But it got all the areas that I was really worried about. And so I'm pretty pleased with it. It just took 2 applications to get there. So I'll show you what this looks like when it dries. All right, everybody always wants to know what the wood looks like when it's dry, and it's about as dry as it's gonna get. I mean, to me, I think it looks pretty dang good. There's no green left on it, no mildew and algae. It looks like it just came from Lowe's. Got a little damp up there because the door is open, but I mean, this be ready to stain, paint, put some Thompson water sealer on it, whatever, just to protect it. But no damage was done to the wood. Percarbonate twice and rinsing, and then followed by oxalic, rinsed off with that. So this is what it looks like dry. Let me know what you guys think.